This video is going to cover Chapter 7, Advanced Corridor Modeling, Group Exercise, Adjusting the Feature Definition, which was once known as Design Stage. It's the last exercise in this chapter, so I'm going to navigate down to it and get started. So in this chapter, or what we're going to do in this exercise is we're going to prepare for the next chapters, which we're going to create cross sections. So to do that, what we want to do is we want to change our feature definitions to a final stage times one or whatever, a final feature definition. It used to be called design stage. I don't know why they changed the name. Sounds pretty good to me, but I just work here. So anyway, we're going to change it to feature definition times one. So what these feature definitions are is they're multipliers of your template drop. So in this 2D window out here, you can see on ramp or Route 54, you've got these green lines that represent a template drop. They shoot right across the project. Okay, every time there's a template drop, you're going to see that green line. Now you can see some of them are spaced evenly, and then you get to some that are spaced differently, a little farther apart, sometimes a little closer. Well, wherever there's a cardinal point, meaning any kind of PC, PT, or any vertical points that need to be called out, it's going to automatically drop a template right there. So that's why you'll see some closer than what you'd normally think you'd see if you set it up to do a certain distance. So this one's been set up at 25 feet, so you would think every 25 feet you would see a template drop. But what we're actually seeing is a preliminary stage on this, or preliminary feature definition, meaning that it's multiplied by 25. So 5 times that 25 will give us 125 feet on a normal, straight, flat run of the corridor. Okay, so we need to change that. We want it to be a lot less distance for our template so that it doesn't interpolate as much when we get into doing our cross sections and mostly our earthwork. We want real close quantities on that, as close as we can get. So the first step is to go through these corridors, two corridors. It's going to say here, let's see, open both corridor files and adjust the feature definition to a final of 1. And to do that, you just simply select a corridor grip or a template drop or whatever. You highlight the corridor and you get that heads up display, and then you can select that properties to change it. So we're going to do that. So I'm in the Route 54 file. You can do it from the little grip handle here, get your heads up, and then you can come out here and you can see it's preliminary at 5. Now watching this area, what happens when we change this. So I'm going to go back to that. I'm going to go to preliminary 5 and change that to a 1, a final design stage of 1. So again, now we're multiplying that 25-foot drop by 1. So every 25 feet we'll get a cross section at the maximum. So it's going to process, and you can see it's come out a little different. Our limits of construction line looks a little bit different in that area. We've gotten closer, more or less interpolation on the drops, which will give us better numbers. Okay, so that was pretty much getting that to the final. And we're going to go to ramp 4, but the other thing we're going to do in this exercise is you can see there's Route 54's got some slopes shooting out across here, and we want to fix that up. Also, we've got a ditch in here from ramp 4 that we want to get rid of. We're going to put a fill slope in there and clean all this up. And so what we're looking for when we get done will actually be at the end of this exercise. It'll look like this when we're done. We want to clean it up real nice. Now to get me back where I was. A few steps we're going to take to get to it. There we go. So let's open up that other one. We'll go to the ramp 4 and change that design stage. And again, with when we swap files in project-wise, right now it's still taking a little bit of time to do that. And we're waiting for that project-wise check-in box to pop up. And once it's up, we'll go ahead and check it in. for it to all come out. Okay, so we'll go to our ramp 4 and we'll select it. I'm going to select it just on wherever my template drops are. Move my mouse around a little bit, get my properties dialog to pop up. Select it and change it from 5, our preliminary, down to 1. And you'll see this really tightens up. I think these were done at a 5-foot interval, so if I remember correctly, which was a couple chapters back. Okay, so once we've done that, we're going to see this other stuff that I was talking about that we're going to try to resolve. The red arrow represents Route 54 side slope. It's become more pronounced at the end of ramp 4, so you can see it just shooting right off, going far out, and that's with the red arrows. The yellow arrows, we have a ditch drawn at the end of ramp 4, and we kind of want to take that out, get a good fill slope in there to match the rest. It says to remove these two effects, first we want to open up the quarters ramp 4, which we're in right now, and within ramp 4's second template drop, remove or delete the ditch. Okay, so looking at this over here, here's our ramp 4 corridor. We've got the first template drop, which is represented by this magenta dash line, and then we have the second template drop, which is also represented by the magenta dash line. We want to select that second one. We're going to get a heads-up display, and we're going to go to Edit Template Drop. And all we want to do in here is really just remove that ditch. So we're just going to right-click in a blank area, select the Delete Components option, and we're just going to drag a line across this ditch. So we just left-click and hold the mouse button, move it across that ditch, and when you're happy with it, you just let go of it, and bam. It's gone. But we still have our fill slope, and that's what we want. We want the fill slope to be able to solve in that location. So we'll hit OK. And you'll see our changes, and now we've gotten rid of that ditch is gone, which is good. Still got some options here. You can see where this where we got the end condition solving a little too soon. We want to, and we're going to talk about that later in this chapter. We want this fill slope here to go out where it would meet the second ground. Right now it's solving because it hits this area of ground up above here. We're going to talk about that and work with that here in a minute. Okay, back to the manual. Let's see, we did the ramp 4. Now it says open the corridors Route 54. And we're going to do that. And then we're going to help remove some of the long fill slopes coming off 54, we're going to select the end condition override that we used. And we're going to change that. So we're going to change that to a 621 plus 80. So let's do that. Go back to MicroStation, File. We'll browse. Go back to our Route 54. Open. And we'll check in our changes. Definitely want to check those in. One thing I didn't talk about is on that second template drop, when we edited it in the DGN, we did that because we didn't want to affect the other template drop. So if we went out to the template library and changed it and then processed this, both of these would have changed. We're just wanting to change the second one. So you do that in the DGN file. Okay. So here we want to change this end condition override. We're going to give it a 621 plus 80. So if we zoom out a little bit, we can see this end condition override out here. You just simply select it. We're going to change this value, the stop value. The start value is at 617 and some change. We're going to go with the stop value of 621 plus 80. And make sure if you swipe through it all and clear it out, you put that R2 on there. I just like taking the numbers out and replacing them. Hit the enter key. You see it's going to shift a little further south on our alignment, and those long slopes will go away. They'll be shortened up. We still got some work to do in here because it's still not looking the way we want. If we rotate it around a little bit here, you can see We want to clean this up still yet. Okay, so that got us in the ballpark. We're getting close. So let's move on down to the next step. To help further remove the remaining long fill slopes coming off of Route 54, use the following parametric constraint instructions. So let's look at that real quick. Let's go to the in condition override, or we'll go ahead and select it. It has some pop-ups to it, and I just want to look at the in condition exception. I want to edit it. So when I look in here, it brings up what it looks like, and I'm just looking for that name. So it would be on that right fill slope B. So I'm going to double click on that point and make sure the parametric constraint is there, and the parametric constraint is the label, and we're looking for the one that controls the width. Right now it defaults to 60 feet, and then boom, it's going to populate it out here. So that's okay, but I know I do have a fill slope X width parametric constraint that I can use to create a parametric constraint to override this horizontal that it has as the default. So I'm going to just hit close and cancel on that. Just wanted to look at it. So we're going to create a parametric constraint label. To do that, we're going to select the 54 corridor grips and bring up the heads up tools. And those tools, select the corridor creation tools and then the parametric constraint tool. And in the parametric constraint dialog, we're going to define the values listed below. Once the values are defined, accept the values by left-clicking to create the parametric constraint. So what we're going to do is we're going to zoom out a little bit. I want to make sure I can get to this 54, which I can. There's grips everywhere, handles. I can go to the template, drops themselves, but I'll just pick one. Once I get it, hover over it, and I'm looking for that corridor creation tool, which is this hammer tool, the hammer icon. Hit the pull down, and I'm looking for this one. About halfway. It's called create parametric constraint. Okay, so in this one, what I'm going to do, uncheck some of these things, and we're going to start station at 621 plus 40. So we'll just key that in, 621 plus 40, space R2. Don't want to leave that off. That station equation's out there, so hit the enter key. And then you have to accept it by clicking on the left clicking in a blank area. The stop station we're going to go with is 621 plus 75. Again, R2. We'll lock that in. Move our mouse around and accept it. The slope you're going to look for is that fill slope X width. And when you select it, you can see the start and stop value is going to come up with the defaults. We're going to go ahead and in a blank area of our screen accept that label. So we're looking for the width of that fill slope X. Left click. Now the start value we're going to use is we're going to start at 5. We're going to transition it to 0. So we'll start at 5. So 5, enter it. It's locked in. You still have to left click to place it. And then the stop value is going to be a 0. So put in 0, enter, lock it in, and then left click. And it's going to go out and change the width of that. And you can see it cleaned up quite a bit of this. All right. So that's what that parametric constraint is going to do. It's going to bring that width back so it's not sticking out so far in our ramp 4. Hit F4, get rid of that tool. The next part of this is we're going to have to take this, we want this, this fill slope to go on down. You can see the red arrows what we need to do. It says, lastly, we need to extend the fill slope downward so that they look similar to the fill slopes within the ramp 4 corridor. So we're going to have to open up the ramp 4 corridor. So we'll do that. We'll file, browse, back to ramp 4. And when we get a chance, we'll go ahead and check it in. Okay, the check-in box is here. We'll check it in. And we'll wait for ramp 4 to populate. Okay, so in the 3D window, you can see what we're trying to do here. We're going to take this slope here, and we're going to try to get it to go out to existing ground out here. Now, he's got some good screenshots in here, so let's look at them. Okay, so we open ramp 4. It says the reason the fill slopes are so long is mostly throughout the ramp 4 corridor is because the ground line goes through the right sidewalk outer buffer, which is not part of the end condition. The fill slope eventually does find its target, but must go a long way to reach the existing ground surface. The reason the fill slopes are so short at the end of ramp 4 corridor is because the ground line goes through the fill slope, which is part of the end condition, and thus hits its target. So what's happening here is, and there's one more screenshot that shows, well, no, maybe this is it. So what you got going here is it's wanting to solve if it sees that ground line within the fill slope. Okay, and in this case over here, it's solving too soon. So we got to fix that. To make the right end slopes at the end of the alignment look like the rest of the corridor, we're going to adjust the end condition template, or the end condition in the template. To do this, we will adjust the template drop within the corridor DGN file. So we're going to do it right inside the file again. We're going to select the second ramp 4 template drop and bring up the heads up tools, and then use the edit template drop. Okay, so when we do that, let's do that real quick. We'll go back over to MicroStation. We'll select that second template drop, get the heads up display, and we're going to go to edit template drop. Okay, so we're in here. So what we need to do, or what he's wanting us to do, is this. We're going to, within the template drop, we're going to select the right fill slope and then insert a point. And we're going to place a point somewhere between the two existing points. Okay, and then we'll give the point some properties. So let's do that. I'm going to zoom in to where that fill slope's at, and I'm using my wheel on my mouse just to kind of zoom in and out to get to the location. So we're going to insert a point on this right fill slope. To do that, you just hover over it, you right click, and you choose the insert point option out here. You can see it can go anywhere you want, so it's just going to insert it, and it doesn't matter where you put it. I won't try to be accurate like I have done before. I'll just go ahead and just place it out here so that we can see our changes. So just left click. It still wants to create another point. You're finished. You just right click and choose the finish option. You'll notice that this point is green, meaning that it doesn't have parents and it doesn't go anywhere that you want it to. So the next step is we're going to double click on that newly inserted point and we're going to define it. I'll move this over a little bit. Okay, so here's that green point. We're going to double click. Brings it up. We want to give it a name. Right fill slope 1 mid. So, and naming is important. Fill slope underscore 1 underscore mid. We're midway through it. We'll go ahead and hit the apply button. And you can see now we've named that point. Next thing we want to do is we want to turn off our end condition properties. We don't want it checking for interception. Okay, we don't want it to do that. So we'll turn that off. And the last part of this is adding constraints to this point. What do we want it to do? Well, we want it to go, the first constraint we want is horizontal. So we'll change that first. We'll choose horizontal. And the parent point we're going to use is that right sidewalk outer buffer point. So we'll use this pick button, and go out and select that point. It'll populate in our field here. It gives us a value, and what we're going to use on the horizontal is actually a 2 instead of 0.9, whatever it comes up at. So we're going to say 2, hit the enter key. That will apply it as it did. And then we want to change this, or give it a slope. And we're going to give it a 25%. Oh, before I do that, I want to pick the point that I'm going off, which is that right sidewalk outer buffer. And that was pretty close. So say 25, and apply that in, close it. $25 and 2. Ooh. 2 is good. That's off, that's good. It's red. And we'll scroll on down. So the next thing we need to do is double click on the fill slope 1B, which is right now underneath the other point. So we're going to bring it up. And we want to change where it goes. So we're going to say we want that instead of being the right sidewalk buffer, we're going to change it or constraint back up to that midpoint that we just put out there. And it picks the point underneath it. We actually want that horizontal to be 2 feet out. And then the next thing that we want to do is we want to change the slope of that from the sidewalk outer buffer. We're going to change that to that midpoint as well. And that's still 25%, so we'll apply. And everything looks good here. We do want this one seeking ground, so we're good on that. So we'll say apply, close, and that should be set up. Now, when we OK this, let me bring this back over. Let me see. We'll hit OK, and you're going to see it came out a little bit, and we're good. But and here you can see that the model did not change because the ink condition is still hitting the target, the existing ground, at the first solution. If the user moves the right fill slope 1 midpoint out further, the ink condition will not solve until it hits the existing ground further out, the second solution. Okay, so what we've got here is we've got that point going off 2 foot, that midpoint, and it's hitting that ground. It's not going out farther than it should. So if we change that midpoint to 10 and move this point out a ways, it won't see ground, and then it'll go out and solve where it sees the second solution. So that's all we have to do here is just move that point out. So we're going to go out and we're going to double click on that inserted point that we just created, the midpoint, and we're going to change that horizontal constraint from 2 to 10. So we'll just highlight the template drop again, edit template drop, and then we'll come over here to that midpoint and just double click. Okay, so now that it's up, we'll go to that horizontal. We're going to say we want that at 10, which will push this point way out, and we'll miss that ground that's fallen in there. So we'll hit apply, and we'll close, and then hit OK. And once you do that, it puts that point out further. So now it'll solve at the second solution. And then after we're done with that, all we need to do is apply a save. We did to the template changes. The model's updated, and it should look like what we've got here. And I believe we got it to work perfectly. So that's the end of the exercise.